May 7th edition of Back Roads of Illinois with Cesar Delgado. We're Central Illinois agriculture source, and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture, we're glad you're here on Back Roads of Illinois. We are watching the commodity markets along with the World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimate report on this Friday at 11 o'clock Central Time from the Department of Agriculture. We measure the markets could be violent and very heavy for next couple weeks because the weather in Brazil and Argentina, they are going to be wet and cool in South America. In Brazil and Argentina, their harvest season is underway in Brazil and Argentina. Last week, we talked about the GREET program by this administration. Someone is happy or not. People who are in regenerative agricultural. They've been rooted for this ruling on the GREET model from this administration. This is your agricultural news on Back Roads of Illinois. From the Department of Agriculture for the state of Illinois, they found a ticks for livestock in Morgan County, Illinois. The Department of Agriculture and the Department of Public Health will be continuing to be monitored on it. Violent storms in central U.S. and the plains. They were number 5 on the scale of the severe weather in Oklahoma, including Kansas and Nebraska. There will be storms and violent tornadoes in central Oklahoma. The World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimate report on this Friday at 11 Central Time from the Department of Agriculture. The traders are looking for yields for soybean in Brazil and Argentina. The crop might be a bitter and demand are lower than expected. This is your agricultural news. This time is for your agricultural commodity markets update minutes. Corn futures finished in up 8 to 9 cents. Soybean futures finished in up 3 to 2 cents. Wheat futures finished in down 8 to 10 cents. Now that we are going to talk about the livestock market for today on this morning, live cattle finished in up 2 to 3 cents. Feeder cattle finished in up 2 to 4 cents. Lean hogs finished in up 2 to 3 cents. This is your commodity prices from today's close. We're back coming with Mark Schlusener from the Department of Agriculture in Springfield. And we're going to listen to sound bit from National Farm Broadcast.
This is Mark Schlusener, state statistician for Illinois with the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service. I'm reporting on crop progress and conditions for the week ending Sunday, May 5. Wet weather slowed fieldwork across Illinois last week. The state average rainfall was 1.48 inches, and that was nearly 0.6 of an inch above normal. Temperatures averaged 65.4 degrees, more than 8 degrees above normal for this time of year. There were only 2 days suitable for fieldwork around the state last week, and topsoil moisture increased to 4% short, 53% adequate, and 43% surplus. Soybean planting advanced by 5 points to 31% finished. That compares to 58% last year and 30% for the 5-year average. 12% of soybean acres have emerged compared to 6% normally. Corn planting reached 32% finished compared to 64% 1 year ago and 41% for the 5-year average. 13% of corn acres have emerged compared to 10% normally. Hay harvest has begun in Illinois, and the first cutting of alfalfa hay is 2% finished. The Illinois winter wheat crop was 65% headed compared to 32% last year and 24% for the 5-year average. The condition of the Illinois wheat crop declined from 1 week ago and was rated 6% very poor to poor, 21 fair, and 73% good to excellent. That is better than 1 year ago. Pasture conditions declined from last week and were rated 3% poor, 21 fair, and 76% good to excellent. That is better than 1 year ago. Thank you to everyone that responded to the crop progress and conditions survey this week. We appreciate your assistance in telling the story of Illinois agriculture. There is still a lot of field work to do in Illinois, so please watch out for big equipment on small rural roads. And in other news, USDA NASS will publish the monthly crop production report on Friday with the first winter wheat yield forecast for Illinois and other states. This has been Mark Schlusener with the Heartland Region Illinois Field Office of USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service in Springfield.
Thanks to Mark Schlusener from the field office in Springfield for the Department of Agricultural.
Well, headline number for soy there, 86.51 million expected acres, just based off of the surveys that took place in February and early March. Really right in line with what the trade was expecting. Average pre-release guess, I think, was 86.53 million acres. So really right on the nose, but it's still very early.
Prospective planting report from the United Soybean Board. They were talking about the planting progress in the Midwest alongside in the Mississippi River Delta.
This figure that we're looking at right now, basically a 3 million acre gain from last year, but still relatively low compared to what we'd seen in 2021, 2022 as well. Put this together with kind of the standard rate of abandonment or harvest plant ratio with trend yields, and we'd be looking at a crop potentially on the order of 4.5 billion bushels for this year. So certainly potentially large.
The Department of Agricultural released in the planting prospective. This is for the spring.
Certainly a lot of changes that can happen on the margins between now and when we get the acreage report at the end of June. Farmers are naturally trying to navigate markets, navigate input costs, and pencil things out as best they can, while, of course, managing the agronomic realities of maintaining a strong crop rotation. So lots to uncover here. This is, of course, just a survey. We'll get the information on what actually went in the ground at the end of June. But as of now, 86.5 million acres looking at for soy.
The number already 51 million acres to planting for the beans in the U.S. McMarshall provide for the numbers from the Department of Agricultural.
The USDA released its 2024 Prospective Plantings Report in March. Mac Marshall, Vice President of Market Intelligence for the United Soybean Board, talks about the soybean numbers that stood out in the report.
Well, headline number for soy there, 86.51 million expected acres, just based off of the surveys that took place in February and early March. Really right in line with what the trade was expecting. Average pre-release guess, I think, was 86.53 million acres. So really right on the nose, but it's still very early.
The potential is there for another large U.S. soybean crop.
This figure that we're looking at right now, basically a 3 million acre gain from last year, but still relatively low compared to what we'd seen in 2021, 2022 as well. Put this together with kind of the standard rate of abandonment or harvest plant ratio with trend yields, and we'd be looking at a crop potentially on the order of 4.5 billion bushels for this year. So certainly potentially large.
Marshall says the prospective numbers don't always come close to the June report.
Certainly a lot of changes that can happen on the margins between now and when we get the acreage report at the end of June. Farmers are naturally trying to navigate markets, navigate input costs, and pencil things out as best best they can, while of course managing the agronomic realities of maintaining a strong crop rotation. So lots to uncover here. This is of course just a survey. We'll get the information on what actually went in the ground at the end of June, but as of now, 86.5 million acres looking at for soy.
Keep up with the latest news from the United Soybean Board at unitedsoybean.org. Chad Smith reporting.
Thanks to Chad Smith for this audio from the United Soybean Board in St. Louis. Chad Smith from National Farm Broadcasters Association. Thanks to Mark Schlusener and Chad Smith from National Farm Broadcasters Association in Platt, Missouri. Well, folk, there is our show. Thanks to Listen on Back Roads of Illinois. You can listen to our show on YouTube and Amazon whenever that you get your podcast. For Back Roads of Illinois, I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great day.